Hello and good morning. So, last week we talked about materials, equipment, tools, and knowledge for problem solving or job development. And in that, we talked about materials and types of materials. So, we also talked about what materials are. Okay, and then we talked about knowledge of materials for production development. We also talked about materials and types of materials, okay? And also we talked about metal and non-metals, okay? That's the topic of last week, okay? We also talked about these different types of metals, okay? And all this we did last week, okay? Non-metals, we talked about them too. So today we'll talk about material properties and material selection principles. Okay, so will be our topic today. Now, choosing the right material for the job. When you're choosing the right material for the job that you want to do, and it's very necessary to consider the properties. Okay, so when you're choosing the right material for your job, it's very important to consider the properties, okay, of that material to match the design and the purpose. Okay, so it's very important for you to be able to know and consider the properties of the material that you'll use, okay, in order for you to pick a job that you want. Okay, now properties of materials to be considered are as follows. Okay, so these are the properties, or this is what you have to look before you choose a material that you need to be used. Okay, the first one is chemical property, and in chemical property you look for things such as pH, okay, corrosion, and also flammability of that material. Okay, so these are the things that you need to look when you're talking about chemical properties. You look at the pH, the corrosion, and flammability of that material. Number two, you look at the physical property, okay? And the physical property, you have to look at the shape of the of the material. You also have to look at the color, smell, taste, density, and melting point. That is when you're looking at the physical property of that material, okay? So those are the things that you have to check. And number three, you have to look at the mechanical property, and this one is the ability of the material to stretch and contract. Okay, so stretching and contraction of a material. We also have to check about the toughness, the hardness of a material, the strength, how strong that material is, and scratch resistant. Okay, if the material is able to resist any scratch. Okay, so this is something else that you need to consider when you're choosing the material. So three properties: chemical properties, check this: pH, corrosion, flammability. Physical property, check shape, color, smell, taste, density, and melting point. Mechanical property, then you check the stretching, contraction of the material, toughness, hardness, and also the scratch resistance. Okay, now let's move to the basic equipment. Okay, so this is another subtopic: basic equipment and tools for solving problems and creating a piece. For solving problems and create a piece. Okay, now let's talk about the basic equipment. Okay, now the basic tools that technicians should have in solving problems and creating workpiece are as follows. Okay, so we are looking at the basic equipment that are needed by the technicians, okay, to solve some basic problems. Okay, and the first one is a screwdriver. group tool. Okay, so this is the first equipment that technicians should have. Okay, and this is it over here. So if you're having a technician coming to your place to fix something in your house or in your compound, then that person needs to have a screwdriver, okay, depending on the kind of work he or she is coming to do. So it is a device used to tighten screw. So it's used to tighten up screw or nut. Okay, it's used to tighten or loosen, to make it loose. Okay, or screw, so tighten, okay, the screw, or loosen, okay, the screw. So there are many types of screwdrivers, okay, that you can choose from. So the first one, you have flat screwdrivers, normal screwdrivers, Phillips screwdrivers, hexagon screwdrivers, and hex screwdrivers. It depends on the kind of work that you want to do. Okay, so you can choose any of these screwdrivers. So that is number one, basic equipment that are used to solve problems. Okay, so basic equipment that are used to solve problem. Okay, and the first one is a screwdriver. Number two, we have a drill group tool. Okay, and this one is used to drill, to make holes. Okay, it is a labor saving tool for drilling holes, okay, or for screwing things on the wall. Okay, so this machine over here, this one over here, okay, it uses the principle of rotating. So this thing goes round. Okay, it uses the principle of rotating. So this one goes round. Okay, and that's how it drills, rotating and drilling. Okay, so it uses the principle of rotating the drill bit, okay, exerting force on a material. Okay, so that's how it works. I know you know how this thing work. Okay, so drill bits will allow different holes, okay, depending on the bits. So it allows, we have big holes, it can drill big holes or small holes, okay, depending on the bit. The two basic types of drills that are commonly used are corded drill. Okay, corded drill use electric power and also to operate, and also we have battery operated drill. So there are two types. This one use power, electric power, and we also have that use just batteries, okay, just to drill. So let's move on to the next part, which we have the pliers. So I believe this is number 3. Pliers tools, okay? And these are pliers over here. This is what we call pliers, okay? And it is a tool used for holding, okay? It's used for holding something, clamping, cutting, and bending workpiece. Okay, you can bend a wire with this kind of tool, and it's called pliers. Okay, there are many types of pliers that can be selected to suit different applications. Okay, so we have, as you can see, we have different types of pliers. Okay, example, we have the needle hose or the needle nose pliers, which I think this is it, the needle nose pliers. It looks like a needle. Okay, we also have diagonal nose pliers. Okay, so it depends on what you want to use your pliers for. So you can choose different kind of pliers. Okay, so that is number 3. Those are basic equipments that you need. Then number 4, we have other basic tools, okay, such as crest hammer. Okay, let me just put a picture. We have also tape measures. This is a tape measure. This is a hammer. This is a hacksaw over here. This is a hacksaw. And then we also have a, no, this is not a hacksaw actually. I don't know where the hacksaw is. I didn't put a picture of a hacksaw. But we also have a hacksaw. You can check these. You can try and Google them out so that you can see how they look like, okay? So we have a hammer. We have a tape measure, which is this one. Okay, we have a hacksaw. We have a cutter knife. We have a duct tape. Cloth gloves and masks, and so many other basic tools. Okay, so those are just examples. Okay, now Let's move to the knowledge in solving problem and developing work piece. Okay, knowledge in solving problems and developing work piece. Now let's talk about mechanisms. Okay, so these are things that work together to make a system work. So mechanism are things that work together to make a system work. Okay, and the important mechanisms for development of workpiece are as follows. Okay, so as I said, mechanism is a thing that work together. They work together to make a system work. Okay, and that's what we will look today. We will look at today. Okay, and the first one is a wheel and axle. Okay, wheels and axle, and it is a type, it is a mechanism that makes work easy. This one makes work easy. Okay, it consists of two adjacent circular or cylinder objects of different diameter. Now let me show you. Okay, so this is a picture of wheel and axle. Okay, of different diameters. Okay, objects with large diameter. So object with a big diameter, we call them wheels. Okay, and the object with small diameter, we call them axles. So you understand. So this one over here has a big diameter. So these ones we call them wheels. Okay, and then the ones with a small diameter, like this one over here, this one we call them axles. Okay, or this one over here, okay, we call them axles. Okay, the action of a mechanism when a wheel or shaft rotates causes the other mechanism to spin accordingly. Okay, so these are wheels and axles. Okay, now that's number one. Number two, we have a pulley. Okay, and let me show you just a picture of a pulley. Okay, it is a wheel like that makes work easy. So this is a pulley over here. This is called a pulley. This one here, it's called a pulley. Okay, and it makes work easy, and it has a rotating axis. Okay, it has a rotating axis. Okay, the edge of the pulley is grooved for inserting the main line. So this is the line. This one here. This one is a line. Okay, it is grooved in a way that you can insert a line. Okay, or a chain. This can be a chain or a line. Okay, and it's used for pulling. It is used for lifting things up. So as you can see, you lift things up. Okay, to a height, or also drop. So this person is dropping something down. Okay, also drop things to a low place. You can also use them to drag or pull heavy objects. Okay, in a lightly way and a quickly, in a much more lightly and in a faster way. Okay, so this one is used for pulling an object up, and also this one is used for pulling an object down. And this is a pulley over here. So it's divided into two types. We have single pulley and batch pulley. You can just try and get this from the internet. See what a single pulley is and a batch pulley is. Okay, so let's move to the third one, and this is straight gear. Okay, now look at this. These are what we call gears. And it is a piece of mechanical equipment that is shaped into a flat or circular disc. Look, it is shaped in a flat and a circular disc. It is circle. It is circular, I mean, okay? Looks like it's just a circle, okay? The edge has pointed shapes. This one here, this is called the edge, okay? They have pointed shapes called the tooth. So these ones are called the tooth, Tooth. So this is, we call them the tooth. These ones over here, okay? And let me drag this up here. It is shaped, the edge has a pointed shape called the tooth. When it is attached to another gear, like the way it happens, it's happening here, you attach it to another gear, and makes the drive gear rotate. Okay, so when you attach it to another gear like this, these are two, okay, gears. So you touch them together and now they start rotating in an opposite direction. Okay, the speed of rotation direction can be adjusted according to the purpose of its use. So you can increase the speed of rotation according to the purpose. Okay, yeah. So basically these are gears and that's how they work. These parts we call them tooth. Okay, they are flat in shape, okay, and they are circular. Okay, and for them to work, you need to attach them to another gear, and they move in opposite directions. So this will move this side, and this one will move on the other side, just like that. Okay, so let's move to beams. Now, beams, it is a machine that acts to inject or force an object to move around a pivot point. Now, let me explain this one. Okay, let's take an example of a scissor. This is a scissor. This part here is called the effort. This is now what we call now the force. Okay, this is the force, and this is the work. This is where now the work is taking place. Okay, so it's a machine that acts to inject a force. So it's injecting a force in an object to move around a pivot. So it's moving around this pivot. Look at this. Moving around this pivot. We call this a beam. Okay, so this is the effort area. Okay, and this is the work. This is the force, this is the work, and this is the effort. Okay, we call those beams. Okay, I know you have seen them. You work with them almost every day. Okay, then the last one, we have a spring. Okay, and this is a spring here. This is called a spring. Okay, it is the main part of suspension system. Main part of suspension system, which will be designed to have different shape but still retain the same shock absorbing property. Okay, it is also applied to moving parts such as mechanical arms, robotic, and motion systems. Okay, I'm giving you, or I'm telling you things that you guys have already seen. So this is a spring, okay, and it's used to retain the same shock absorbing property. Okay, and how can you apply these ones? You apply them, they can be used on mechanical arms, robotics, and also motion systems like car, okay, train, yeah, all those things that move. Okay, bicycle, motorbike, you always find them using these springs. Okay, so these are things that make work easy. Okay, these are just mechanisms that make work easy. Okay, now if you have a question about what I've just talked about, you can go ahead and send me a message. I will try and reply your question, okay, and try and see if I can answer your question. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.